To finish this section, let's put something that we learned in the last lecture into practice right now. And that's to convert the HTML we've been writing so far into the BEM system, so that we can start using BEM from now on. So in this lecture, you're just going to learn how to use the BEM method in practice. And there's actually not a whole lot to do here already, because we haven't written so much HTML up until this point. One thing that we have to do though is to identify our first block here, and that's the header here, okay? So the header is obviously a block in the BEM system, because it is a standalone component that is meaningful on its own. And so it's a block, and so all the elements that are inside it should also have the header attached to them, right? So this logo box here, it can only really exist here in this header. And so it's an element, right? Because it's part of a block, but it has no standalone meaning. And so we should now start adding the header to the elements. So header, and now remember, it's double underscore to separate the block from the element. So header is the block and logo box is the element. And the same thing here for logo. So we call it header logo. Because this logo with this exact size and this exact image, it only just exists here in the header. The same goes, of course, for this text box. So header text box, simply because this text box is a part of the header and it doesn't make much sense to use it anywhere else. Now, as for this heading primary here things are a bit different actually, because we could treat this as a block on its own. Imagine that we wanted to use this h1 element somewhere else. Imagine we had another page, but without a header like this one, and we wanted to use this primary heading. We could of course do so. And so this one here is a standalone block. Now, as for these two here, what do you think about them? They're called heading primary main and heading primary sub. So what these two are, they're actually modifiers of the heading primary, right? Because they simply create a slightly different version of this heading primary class of the block, right? And so what we do is that we put two dashes here. So remember, block, and then if we have a modifier, we do dash dash and then the name of the modifier. If it's an element, then we use underscore underscore and then the name of the element after that, right? Okay, same thing down here. A button is of course a standalone component, so we can consider it a block in the BEM notation. Of course, because we're going to use this button throughout this entire page. Now here, these two can be considered flags as well, such as we had before, right? And so we use double dash on both of them. Because this is still a button, but they do simply create different versions, different modifications, and that's why they're called modifiers, right? And that's actually all we have to do here in this markup. So we now have this converted to the BEM notation. So let's just go back to the style and change it here as well. So header, and let me just actually copy this part. So header, then here we had header logo and header text box and heading primary, okay? So here just a dash missing, another dash. Here everything stays the same. Button, everything is good. So here another dash to create this difference. And here for the animated. Alright, that's actually it. So our code is now converted to BEM. Let's just check if everything is the same here, which of course it should. And well, something happened here, so something is clearly wrong. So let's go back to check if our CSS is completely correct. So let me see if I forgot something here. Primary sub and main. Okay, so here the T is missing. I guess that was the problem. It probably was. Well, there's another bug somewhere, I guess. Ah, okay. That's because I put the T in there accidentally. Alright, but now it should work. And here we go. So everything is back to the same. Our code is now converted to BEM and we're good to go. And that actually wraps up this theoretical section. I believe that it was rather intense and rather sometimes hard to grasp, but as I said so many times already, I know that it's really important to go through these more theoretical and fundamental aspects of the CSS language if you really want to grasp it and become more professional in it. So great job, great progress. It's amazing that you're still with me. and you now deserve some break or some rest if you need. Well, and if you don't, then just continue to the next lecture and I'll be waiting there for you.